What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and so far in this series we have covered our top 3 targets for the deadline. We've covered starting pitchers we should go after at the deadline. We've talked about relief pitchers we need to go after at the deadline. And now we're going to finish up this series with position players the Red Sox should target at this year's deadline. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what positional needs we think that the Red Sox really should focus in on. We're going to talk about what players could fill those needs, who they are, how they play, how they would fit into this Red Sox system, what it would cost to get them here. And we're going to talk about whether or not I personally think that the Red Sox are going to make position players a priority at this year's deadline. But before we get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys are hitting the like button on this video, helps it out a ton. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. It's no secret that when you're talking about first base and positional needs for this Red Sox team, the main priority, in my opinion, is first base. The Red Sox banked on Bobby Dalbec being better than he was this year, and they banked on Triston Casas being ready at some point this year as well. Neither of those things panned out, right? Bobby Dalbec is off to an extremely slow start, and Triston Casas got injured and has only played 1 game since May 6th, and that's for the FCL down in Florida. We also substituted Franchy Cordero in there at some point, who was great for a little bit, at least offensively, but since he's cooled down so much, it becomes a big hole at first base again because he simply just is not a defensive first baseman. So right now the Red Sox are stuck between a rock and a hard place when it comes to first base. You have really no bat in Bobby Dalbec, but decent average defense, and then you've got decent average hitting when Franchy Cordero's on and Franchy Cordero, but you got no defense, right? So either way, you're missing a large part of being first base. The deadline can fix that, and it's not going to be difficult to go out and get someone to fill both of those holes, and they don't need to be a superstar household name type player. What the Red Sox need at first base is a role player, a guy who can catch fly balls, a guy who can scoop and pick baseballs too, and also a guy who can produce for you offensively a little bit. Now, these guys don't need to be star players, like I said. And before you guys go down into the comments and immediately comment Josh Bell, because I don't have him in this video, I know Josh Bell is in my top 3 wants for the Red Sox. So yes, Josh Bell would be fantastic. But what I also want to cover are some of these other guys who are flying under the radar right now as potential trade targets for the Red Sox, and guys who could do exactly what I just said. Fill a role and help this Red Sox team win without having to be a superstar mega athlete that's going to cost a ton of prospects and whatnot to get. So that's what we're going to do. And the first guy I'm going to talk about is Patrick Wisdom of the Chicago Cubs. Again, we don't need a superstar. We just need someone who can play decent defense and give you some offensive production. Patrick Wisdom can do that. Right now, he's having a little bit of a down season, hitting only 224, but he does have an OPS plus of 113, so statistically, he's above average hitter. He also has 17 bombs, 17 doubles, and 45 RBIs. That would be a fantastic bat to add at the back end or even the middle of this Red Sox lineup. The other great thing with Patrick Wisdom is he currently is on a team, the Cubs, with a mighty fine closer in David Robertson, a guy who we could package together with Wisdom and knock out 2 birds in 1 stone. And usually with these package deals, you end up getting a little bit of a better deal. It's just like buying a package deal in real life, right? You kind of, once you package things together, it becomes a little bit less expensive, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. So a deal for Patrick Wisdom and David Robertson would look something like this. You're probably looking at trading Bobby Dalbec, Brandon Walter, and a lower end prospect just to sweeten the deal up a little bit. As much as I love Bob, with Patrick Wisdom coming in and being a right-handed power hitter, there isn't a ton of room for Bob on this team. With Walter, you've got a ton of really great AAA, AA level prospects in your pitching system, so you're not going to miss him too much. And then obviously a lower end prospect. If it works out for them, great. If not, it's not really a huge deal for the Red Sox to give up a lower end prospect, especially with the farm system that they've built out. The only problem with Patrick Wisdom is that he is under control for a while. He won't be a free agent until 2027, and if the Red Sox are looking for strictly a rental-based prospect to get them through this year and hope that Triston Casas is ready and as good as he is promised to be when he does come up, it might make things a little bit difficult trying to get Patrick Wisdom, so there's that as well. But if he is available, Patrick Wisdom is a great choice for this Red Sox team. The second guy guy I want to talk about, another guy who's flying a little bit under the radar, is Jared Walsh of the Los Angeles Angels. Jared Walsh is part of a team who came into this season steamrolling everybody, but much like the Angels tend to do, they pooped the bed, and now it doesn't even look like they're going to be in playoff contention come the end of the year. They have a ton of massive contracts. It could be time for them to start offloading some of those guys to make room for either signing Ohtani or getting someone to replace that level of production in their lineup. Jared Walsh could be one candidate to leave. And Jared Walsh, much like Patrick Wisdom, very serviceable at first base, not a ton of contact, but a lot of power. This year, Jared Walsh having a little bit of a down year where he's hitting .236 with a slightly below average OPS plus of 94, which is still better than both Bob and Franchi, and he does have 13 home runs and 41 RBIs. He's also another guy that will be under control for a little bit, not a free agent until 2026. So again, that could be a little bit of a roadblock when you're talking about the Red Sox looking at him for a first baseman, but he would be a great option for this lineup. He adds that power that we've kind of been missing in the bottom half of the lineup. He gets on base a fairly decent amount, better than Bob and Franchi right now, and he can play a great first base. Jared Walsh is actually the most expensive guy in terms of value to get on this list for the Red Sox, and a trade package for him would probably include Bobby Dahlbeck again, or Franchi Cordero, one of the two, and Cedene Rafaela, a prospect for the Red Sox who's been making waves in this Red Sox farm system as well as the entire MLB. He jumped up from a top 20 prospect to a top 10 prospect this year for the Red Sox, and he has been absolutely killing it. The question is whether or not he can retain this success all the way through his minor league system career, and if the Red Sox really don't know if that's a possibility, selling high on him could be a good idea. And a guy like Jared Walsh, a guy who's a left-handed power bat and can play first base pretty well, might be a good option there. The last guy I want to talk about is a bit of a wild card. It's a guy who I don't even know if anyone's talking about right now, but it's a guy who would fit every single one of the Red Sox current needs at first base, and it's a guy who we could get for really cheap, and that's Brandon Belt of the San Francisco Giants. Now, the Giants are notoriously not a seller at the deadline, basically ever, but the fact that they're 13 games back in the division right now, they're kind of out of a wild card spot in the NL, and they're only 2 games above 500, could make them a candidate to start selling off some of these veteran pieces to start bringing up and bringing in younger, more exciting talent. And Brandon Belt might be a guy who we can get. Brandon Belt fits everything the Red Sox need. He is a rental. He's a free agent at the end of 2023. He plays pretty decent first base. He's currently hitting .236 with an above average OPS of 113, making him a statistically above average player. But he doesn't hit for a ton of power either, but it's a guy who can get on base in the bottom half of that lineup and help out the top half of that lineup when they end up coming up, right? That's sort of been the problem that we've been seeing for the Red Sox this year. Xander, Rafi, and JD will get on base, no one will be able to drive them in, or it'll be no one's getting on base and they're hitting solo shots or doubles or whatnot, and it's really not doing a ton of damage. Brandon Belt can get on base for you. The other thing too is that he's a veteran presence in the clubhouse, which I don't know exactly if that'll help or hurt the Red Sox, but it's something to take into account. And the fact that he's going to be a free agent in 2023 makes him a legitimate rental option for this Red Sox team. The other plus with Brandon Belt, because of everything we just mentioned, is the fact that he is by far the cheapest option in terms of first base on this list. In fact, the guy that I would give up to get him is Fraley Encarnacion. He's a shortstop third base prospect and a guy who's currently ranked 35th in our system. So Brandon Belt would be, in my opinion, the best option out of these three. He's cheap, he does the job that we need, he's not a superstar, and he will be the perfect kind of liaison between Bob and Tristan Casas. But let me know in the comments section down below. Like I said at the beginning, it's not that I don't want CJ Cron type players. It's not that I don't want Josh Bell. I did a whole video on Josh Bell. These are just kind of guys who have flown under the radar, who I'm trying to give you guys options, a different outlook on this first base situation. Maybe there's another path the Red Sox take. That's all I'm trying to say. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of these three guys? What do you think in general of the first base position? Who is someone you would trade for outside of these three guys? Plus, this is going to wrap up basically our trade segment on this channel, at least until the deadline and news starts coming out. Then we'll talk about it more. So let me know in general, which one of these three categories do you see the Red Sox going after first? Starting pitching, relief pitching, or position players? In my opinion, it's going to be relief pitching, position players, then if they can, starting pitching. But I could be wrong, so let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox trades down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. already. Like I said at the beginning, Red Sox content almost every single day. Plus, you made it to the end here, you might as well hit subscribe. Also, you might as well hit that like button. It helps out these videos a ton. Again, you made it to the end, you clearly enjoyed, and if you really enjoyed this video, share with a friend or family member who loves the Red Sox as much as you do, because there's a good chance they'll enjoy this video too. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.